Hey everybody, I have a quick video for you this week. Sorry for the lack of edits and sorry for the informal production of it. But I thought it was a good discussion and I didn't have a whole lot of time to put it together, so hopefully it's still enjoyable. This is a portion of a discussion that we had while I was streaming a game called Grand Poo World 2 over on twitch.tv/IngeniusClown. If you want more discussions like this, just head over to that channel, give me a follow, you can watch me play, you can watch me die, and you can have discussions like this. But I thought this was a pretty good one and worth immortalizing, I guess, so hope you enjoy. So if I say to you guys, something in a video game feels too video gamey, what do you think that means? How do you take that? You take that as some like empty platitudes, words to pad out a script, loss of realism. Usually means the game has forgone all attempts to create a sense of immersion. I got a comment on my Metroid 2 feature-length film today. Because I use that term a lot when it comes to a lot of the bosses in Samus Returns. That just the enemies and the bosses in general just feel too video gamey. And I've received a lot of comments in general, just like of people rolling their eyes at the usage, or like, yeah, just like the general usage of the term, like, duh, it's a video game, you f***ing idiot. I guess it depends on the context it was used in. Well, that is something that I will say about my usage of that term. I don't think I explained it very well in the context of the video and the way that I was using it, because it is kind of a confusing term to use about video games. You know what I'm saying? Like, how dare you complain that the video game feels too much like a video game? Like, if you don't analyze the use of the word beyond the surface, then of course you're not going to understand what it means. But if you take a moment to think about it and dissect it, then basically what both of you said, not unfair, definitely not unfair, that's not what I mean by it. But what both of you said is kind of what I intend by it. So like for that video specifically, when I said the bosses feel too video gamey, like the Metroids in general, it's because the Metroids themselves, they're constantly like doing this motion, and instead of being like a legitimate encounter that is a challenge and something that you have to learn how to fight or like react to, it just becomes a shooting gallery for phases of the fight. I like when someone says something feels video gamey. I usually get the sense that something has been done that is entirely contrived and justified by the one-line logic, it's a video game. Thank you. Yeah, that's kind of exactly what I mean by it, but I think if I ever have to use that again, if I ever have to use that term again, it's probably worth explaining in a little more detail. Because that's the problem that I have with Samus Returns and the way the Metroids are designed in that game. It's just, there's too many they're like supposed to be these f***ing apex predators that are like a danger to the entire f***ing galaxy, and they're just sitting here like this, like, shoot me, daddy! Shoot me! I don't want to live anymore! And it's just like, f***ing why? Why do they do that? That's not an apex predator. It's a f***ing balloon with a face. I rewatched that video on many occasions and I completely agree with your statement. I mean, if you want to create an immersive world with realistic creatures, the last thing you should do is make a super smart / deadly creature have a brain dead AI or do something no actual creature would do. I'm guessing you meant it as it felt like any other video game or felt too samey. No, not same. Like, the fights themselves, they're reasonably fun. And from like a completely mechanical point of view, there's absolutely nothing wrong with them, in my opinion. It's just the fact that they're supposed to be these intelligent and dangerous... Where was my platform? Like, I landed on it, right? But they're supposed to be these dangerous and intelligent beasts, and they just don't f***ing act like it. It is kind of an immersion argument, in a way. It's like in Majora's Mask remakes where they gave every boss a giant glowing eyeball weak spot. That's super video gamey. Yeah, that's a pretty good example. And I'm thinking back to like Ori and the Will of the Wisps, not Willow of the Wisps. where Frog Dad and Spider Mom, like, sure, if you were to dissect their mechanics, they're super video gamey, but at the same time, their lack of an obvious weak spot or their lack of like opening up a giant glowing eyeball makes them an incredibly satisfying and incredibly immersive fight. Whereas you have, I've already used the Samus Returns example, like, here's my giant glowing f***ing weak spot, take a shot, baby. I've seen what you look like under that suit, I'm gonna simp for you, baby. That's what the Omega Metroid sound like. Oh my god, I deserved a nightmare. It was more of a setting and content divergence than... Yeah, kind of. In my eyes, it's just kind of lazy design. Instead of designing a boss that's fair, engaging, and maybe even a little bit of a puzzle, you're designing like a color by numbers. Which, if you want to be pedantic about it, every boss can be broken down to a color by numbers thing. Like, pretty much everything in every video game can be broken down to a color by numbers situation. That's literally what speedrunning is. I'm coloring by numbers with Invictus. I'm coloring by numbers with every Kaizo game that I play, because I have this clear set of instructions to do. But there is a kind of dichotomy that you have to avoid. Yeah, you just wait a little bit there and you're fine. You don't need to go super fast. You motherfucker. Yeah, the reason I bring it up anyway is just because I do receive comments about that a lot, but specifically I received a comment about it today and it just made me think about the way that I described it. And it's totally on me for describing it the way that I did without any sort of elaboration. Like, the Omega Metroids, in my opinion, are some of the most fun fights in that video game, but they still suffer from the same video gaminess. Like, here's my phase that will refill all of your integral missiles, just so you have all the resources available to beat me. I'm gonna stand still while I do it, because I would like to give you a fair shot to defeat me. Like, come on, dude. Be the boss I know you can be. Because I had a very specific meaning when I mentioned the term video gamey, and it just seems to have gone over way too many people's heads. That's the whole thing with language, right? Like, if you use something that's not a common colloquialism, you have to take the extra time to elaborate about what you're talking about, and hope you can't just assume that people understand what you mean given the context of what you're trying to get across. Because even though I personally think that if you really take a moment to understand, or not understand, but like analyze what I say, then you'll probably come to the meaning of it. But there's plenty of people, and I don't think this is necessarily a bad trait on them. There's plenty of people who take what other people say at face value. And if you talk to one of those people and say that a video game feels too video gamey, they're going to think you're an idiot. And you're going to have to explain to them what you mean. Not everybody is fully capable of analysis. And like I said, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It's just part of what makes us all different. It does get frustrating though, having to explain exactly what I mean over and over again. Oh, no! Deductive reasoning is a good term for it, I think. I got it immediately, but I'm also the kind of person who, when making a ROM hack, tries to make levels smoothly transition instead of grass level time, okay, now lava level, now you're in the sky somehow. I think I give people the benefit of the doubt because it's kind of what I want people to get. It's kind of what I want game developers to do for me whenever I play their games. I don't want my handheld. I don't want everything explained to me ad nauseum until I understand it. I want to be allowed and required to explore the mechanics and figure things out on my own. That's why it's a game. It's interactive. I don't need you to spell everything out for me. I think a lot of people look for reasons to be able to slap down on others. Yeah, there's always that aspect of, like, creating your own high horse. But it turns out their high horse is actually a few feet below everybody else's. But they put it on stilts and didn't realize it. They, like, put it on stilts when they were building it, forgot that they did that, and are now telling everybody that their horse is way better. Is that a weird analogy? I think it's a weird analogy. Especially when you're saying something averse to their feelings and they'll automatically try to find fault in your words and skew them against you. F***ing... Welcome to being a f***ing YouTuber. The internet is obsessed with taking things out of context and using them against you. I'm deathly afraid of that happening to me someday. I don't think it's necessarily always like people trying to find a way to hate on others, because this most recent comment specifically, while not understanding what I mean or what I meant when I said video gamey, they weren't rude about it. They were a little rude. It was very much along the lines of, duh, video game is gonna video game. What a dumb take. Oh my god, I need a spin jump there. But it wasn't, like, aggressive about it, I guess. So I did respond to them, telling them what I meant. Which, most people that I respond to don't bother responding back. It's nice when people respond back when I actually take the time to respond to a comment and clarify things. But I also wonder, like, if I clarify something and I change their mind, or at least I make them rethink their position, or they realize that their position was incorrect based on new information. If they're just embarrassed that they were wrong, because I know a lot of people end up like that. Like, I was wrong, now I'm dead. And because I think it would be cruel to show you this much of the level without giving you a resolution for how it ends, I was just going to put a full clear here for you. So here you go. Luigi. Fun fact, Luigi actually is in this hack as a legitimate mechanic. And part of a puzzle. Unfortunately, I already know the answer to the puzzle. Let's go! I already knew the trick there. Good job.